when I saw stools, I was like, oh my god, I could get low angles. I could get low angles anywhere.
Welcome to the official, unofficial Sea of Thieves podcast, a podcast dedicated to Sea of Thieves and other rare games, but mainly Sea of Thieves. So, not too long ago, Season 7 released and finally brought us Captaincy. This feature was originally planned as the very first update, but back then people were dying to get some other content like Tall Tales and Giant Enemy Crabs, and we're still waiting on those crabs. So, up until the release of Season 7, players had various ideas about what Captaincy could be. Some of our wishes came true, but other aspects of Captaincy could be a bit better. And today we're going to talk about that. But I am not alone on my vessel, since I am once again assisted by my amazing co-host.
Hi guys, it's Shiny Ray again. I'm loving life at the moment. I've got my Captaincy update and I've got a sausage roll as well. So, 10 out of 10 so far.
That does sound like living the pirate fantasy.
Pirate fantasy.
And somewhere in the hole, we have another awesome creator that will add his opinion to ours.
Hey guys, I'm Playthru. I'm half of Playthru. James 1. Just call me Play. It's fine.
What do you mean with half of Playthru? For the people who
so I run the channel with my buddy who's also named James. So we're just trying to confuse as many people as possible.
All right. And what should people know you by?
Playthru works. When I speak for us, I'm speaking for both of us.
All right. That's great to hear. So before we go into the icebreakers and get to know Playthru a little bit better, we're gonna do a quick announcement. We've done it before, but I'm gonna go over it really quickly because keeping a podcast alive costs more money than we gain. It's the simple truth. So if you want to help us out, you can. You can do this by using the super thanks on YouTube. And we're also working on getting some posters out. So if you're like, hey, I'm not going to donate some money and get nothing in return, well, you can also buy a poster in the future. We commissioned a few designs to a designer, and he's working on it very hard. So that will be there in the future as well. And yeah, that's the announcement. So if you want to help us out, you can, and it's really appreciated. But you don't need to. We will always be doing the podcast because we love it. So, are you ready for the icebreakers Playthru?
Yes.
All right. So, can you tell us a bit more about what your content is all about?
Well, a lot of most people who even know who we are would know us from Reaper Run. So we make like cinematic Sea of Thieves videos that people that are closer to my age would call machinima. And a lot of times they're more like sketches, or I guess like maybe people now would think of them as like interdimensional cable from Rick and Morty, that kind of vibe, but within Sea of Thieves. So kind of just taking an idea in Sea of Thieves, then twisting it into like a little cinematic short.
And what made you decide to start this content?
So James and I, we in high school, every weekend we would just make movies together with our friends. We were like the weird video kids. That's all we did for like 7 or 8 years. So like editing has always been something that I love. And movies, we're just like movie nerds. So I like struggle with consistency a lot. But Sea of Thieves is one of the only things that's been consistent for me, like that I've just been consistently interested in. So then we just wanted to make stuff, and during lockdown, since we couldn't meet up, we just started streaming, and then we just started returning to like making videos.
All right. So you've done other stuff too, then, besides Sea of Thieves?
Like back in the day, yeah, we would just like make stuff for ourselves, really. Like, I had a group of there was a group of like 5 or 6 of us, and throughout college, like we kind of like would all vlog. We didn't even post these anywhere, but we would do it as like a way to stay in touch and just like edit videos and share them. So usually actually we didn't do like game stuff. So Sea of Thieves was our first like foray into that.
Sounds a little bit like my origin story. Like when I was in high school, I also had a group of people I made movies with, and my love of editing started there. Yeah.
Yes.
And then later you want to keep on editing, but what are you going to edit? Like a holiday pictures or something like that? No, that's not fun. Wait, like you want to edit something, have an audience too.
Yeah, and it'll definitely age us, but like I'm assuming that when you were When you were editing in high school, was it like mini DV camcorder with like a FireWire cable and
Are you trying to guess my age?
Yeah, well, that's just I'm trying to just see if I can relate. Where it's like I was like, it's weird to think that I don't know. Right now, making videos is like so normal, but
yeah, it is.
Back then it's like we were making videos and then YouTube was invented. Like, and then I was like, oh, cool. Like we put our old videos on YouTube when it was still being run in the garage, and I would upload them, and my friends and I would call him when it was uploaded, and we would just hit the refresh button. Like really fast to just try to spam it to like the front of YouTube. And it worked, but yeah, people got really mad.
I don't even remember if YouTube was a thing back then. Very early days for sure, and not every laptop had a camera. It was, and now they all have good cameras, and you can record with your phone. And smartphones weren't a thing back then. I recorded everything with a normal camera, like a picture camera, just to take pictures, but there was also a movie mode on it. Okay. So I used the movie mode, and that's how I did it. And some of those clips are still on my YouTube channel. I put them on before I started making Sea of Thieves content because I was like, all right, this part of my life, I wanted to be on the internet, so it's there.
Yeah.
So that's my legacy.
Immortalized.
Yeah, it's immortalized. But I'm still a little embarrassed by it. But if people want, if you scroll all the way back, you see some live action, and you can even see a face reveal if you look carefully.
I am absolutely I'm gonna stalk that after this, dude. Because that's like it's really cool. That I don't know. I very much feel like a connection to people who just did that in high school because it was just it was fun, and you really had to want to do it, I guess.
For one of those videos, you need to be 18 years or older to watch it, actually. We tied somebody with duct tape to a tree, and I don't think the censorship liked that. I think it's censored because of that. It's fine. Now I just get copyright strikes by Disney. It's all good. It's all good. It's a different world.
Okay.
I'm just perplexed how I got stuck on a podcast with two boomers. I'm just absolutely shook right now.
Oh, come on, Ray! You're gonna be doing like the back in my day once we start talking about year one content, day one content.
Oh, yeah.
Then you can.
Yeah, I'm the biggest back in my day YouTuber for sure. Like, guys, did you know that I was here on day one? Like, it's almost as bad as Blurbs with I've been PvPing since alpha.
That's why I love your videos, because I'm like I remember that too. Like, hey, I thought we didn't have storage crate training, and they're like, wait, that was only like that was last year. Wait, what are you talking?
Real quick, we were playing yesterday with UK and with Davor, and they both quite early players. I think Dave joined a bit later, but UK's been playing since day one. And we were talking about the time when they added the new inventory system, and it was so buggy that it just gets stuck each time. Do you remember when you used to have to spam the action button to take cannonballs out one by one?
Yep.
You do sound like a boomer now.
I am making a video about all this crap.
I'm looking forward to it. I shouldn't do it, but like a lot of times, like when I'm talking to players who are newer, like they maybe like, and I say newer, it just means to me that's like post year one. Really, and it's like, but I just try to tell them like if they're complaining about, I don't know, whatever, if there's because like we all love the game, so we're all gonna whinge about it like at any point in time. But I try to just remind them, I'm like, hey, like you never had to take cannonballs out one by one, and like remember, like barrels do you like barrels having more than one type of resource in it? Because I do. That's like a nice thing that I don't take for granted.
People were mad too when that changed that system.
It's because it was so buggy. Like you click on it, you just get stuck in it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're on Xbox. But yeah, like the case of it now is like back in my day, we used to fight like 3 hours for skull forts for 25k loot. Okay, Grandpa, let's get you to bed. Let's go do the Ashen Winds. 2 minutes. That's all it'll take. Got
2 minutes in that
now.
adventure.
Come on, let's go. Let's go have an adventure with Jack Sparrow so you can calm down.
There you go.
Right.
Exactly.
But that's something also that's really interesting, because I don't know if it's true for you, Playthrough, since we are a little bit older. Like the wait for updates doesn't seem all that bad for me. And when I talk to Ray, he thinks there's a lot of drought in Sea of Thieves. And granted, there is sometimes, but I'm usually fine with waiting a couple months for the next big thing. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'm kind of split. I'm very. I think I'm more like on your end of that, where I often don't even like. I guess when an update comes out to Sea of Thieves, I often don't really change how I'm playing, if that makes sense. Like I'm gonna just go and hunt other players and do what makes me the most gold usually. Like I'm just like, and I'll engage with the new content, of course, but that's why it's like, I remember when season 5 came out, we got all these quality of life updates, which I loved. Like the storage crate update for me was huge. And I get, so I totally understand the, like people being frustrated if there's a long delay or if they feel like there's not enough new mechanics, I guess, added to the game or new things. But for me, it's like, yeah, like during this past break, we just lived through the longest season. Everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Like, and it was a long time. Like, it was weird to think about. I kept calling the new season 8, because I just thought season 7 had come out already. Like, I did that in a couple of videos. I'm like, "Oh, season 8's coming out," and then I love rolling with that too. Just a sidebar. Like, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but I love making a mistake in a video and then people comment on it and they think it's like a joke. They're like, "Oh, that was so funny when you did that." And I'm just like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like, I just act like I'm shit posting. I'm like, "No, that was." I was in season 6 for a while. But yeah, so I'm kind of in between. Like, I understand where it's coming from, but yeah, I don't really mind because I just kind of play. It's a way for me to hang out with people a lot.
Yeah, I get that. There's a lot of downtime in Sea of Thieves that I really like. Just sitting for islands and you talk some shit with your crewmates. I love that.
Yeah. I think that thing that makes it special. I mean, there's a bajillion things. I know that's beyond the scope of the podcast, but it's like the thing I was thinking about this week. Like, I had kind of a rough week in a lot of ways, and then I went back to Sea of Thieves, as I do. Like, it was great to be able, after not playing it for like a week, to just dive in with Captaincy. And something I love about it is that not a lot of other games can give you everything. Whereas Sea of Thieves, like, you want to chill and have a relaxing session, great. You want to talk to people, great. You want to solo, not interact with anyone, okay. And then if you want like super sweaty PvP, you can have that too. Mm-hmm. And most times I would have to like choose, what kind of vibe I want. But I love that Sea of Thieves really gives me like the ability to, just have what I love about a lot of my favorite games in one.
You can jump in for different reasons, and not a lot of games have that.
Yeah.
That's great. Is it also one of the reasons why you decide to make content on Sea of Thieves, because it does draw you to it, so you have a lot of ideas for machinimas?
Yeah, exactly. You kind of nailed it earlier. Excuse me. You nailed it with wanting to make videos, but then also killing the podcast. I got something in my throat. Okay. Let me just peek the mic like 10 more times.
It's fine. We can cut stuff out. Don't worry about it.
That's like the classic. I have to change that. You can cut that out, right? I'm like, I'm leaving that. No, I'm gonna leave that. So we decided to make content for Sea of Thieves. Yeah, because it was what I was always thinking about. I was kind of like, what do I, like you said it earlier, like after in high school, it's weird. You're making videos, you're just like pure creativity. And then you don't make videos for a while, but you have that itch and you don't know what to make stuff about. And throughout my day, I would just be like thinking about Sea of Thieves because I love the game and think about all these different aspects, or, just reading about the game. And then I was just like, why don't I just make a video about it? And sometimes it would even be out of frustration. Like, I would just think like, I know you guys make stuff so consistently, so I imagine you guys experience this more. And I know this is more like content creator chat, but it's like I'm using like air quotes there, but it's just like sometimes it's nice to, like, we're so bombarded with videos and with people's opinions, on social media and all these things. Sometimes it's nice to feel like you're like pushing back against the tide of like, you know what? I'm going to make something and now everyone has to listen to me for a little bit. It's like, sometimes it literally comes from that place of like, I read something I don't like on Reddit. It's something I disagree with. And I'm like, I'm just going to make not a video where I specifically am calling that out, but just like where, I'm going to express myself in a way that will make people laugh, or something like that. Or like the Devil's Ridge video we made, right? I was just looking at so many videos where the whole thing is just a shit post about, like, it starts as a shit post about just like people on the subreddit would always just go, "To the crew who sunk me," and they have this long like tail, which I simultaneously love, and like I could see on the subreddit, oh, it's happened so many times they have a rule against it because it can lead to like, I don't know, witch hunting and all that. But it was fun to use those as starting points, I guess, for videos. And that's kind of why we started on Sea of Thieves. A lot of times it would be like, oh, a starting point of a video could be, what if someone wrote a letter to the crew, but instead it wasn't like about the crew at all? It was just him being like, I don't know how to get back to my ship. And then that's just, okay, what would happen in that? Yeah.
My favorite one was how you think you are when you see your loot and how you actually are.
Okay.
All the clicking as well. Blubber, link that one in the description as well. They've probably all seen it, but I just for my sake, really.
All right. Oh, well, I haven't seen it, so I'll watch it and I'll put a link in there.
It's funny that you say that because that's one that people will bring up, and it's like a 30-second one. And I think the reason that resonates with people is because that was one that I hadn't even been. People had attempted to Red Sea on me, but like a lot of people who watched the video were like, "Oh, you're salty because people Red Sea." I was like, I actually like haven't. I've read about it happening more than it's happened to me. But then I was just thinking about my crew and I, like you were saying earlier, Blubber, like we're sailing, so we have a lot of time just to shoot the shit. And we were just laughing about how like, why would you Red Sea? Just like fight. Just like if you lose, okay, like whatever. Like if they're being toxic, whatever. People can play the game however they want. And then so but that video came from like the purest, like what if it would just be funny if it's literally just a guy sailing into the Red Sea. He's thinking he's winning. No, he's just, I literally almost hyperventilated trying to record the audio for that. Like I got lightheaded and was like, oh yeah, this is like.
It reminds me yesterday, again, when we were sailing, we were coming towards the end of the session. We were going to do an Ashen Winds, and we saw an emissary that had just finished a gold vault. We were like, okay, we're in a brig, they're in a sloop, we're going to try and chase them. And they did the classics, straight into the wind and flat sails, that sort of thing. So we're like, we're not going to catch them. They're probably going to just Red Sea their loot because, that's what's going to happen here because they'll lose anyway. So we just peeled off and did the Ashen Winds at Devil's Ridge. And they carried on with whatever their voyage is. So me and UK decided we're going to get a rowboat and row all the way from Tri-Rock Isle all the way up to, is it Tri-Rock Isle? The one west of Devil's Ridge, whatever that one is. And we rowed all the way to Galleon's Grave with some kegs just to get the rest of their loot. And we managed to pull it off. Oh my God. Like the determination.
Oh, that rules.
Yeah, it's like we can't get them because they're going to Red Sea. So let's just go for a stealth play instead because we're always marked on the map.
I think we should do that more often. As soon as we see somebody running, just give up shades, drop the rowboat, and just row.
Yeah, it will work.
Yeah.
They literally do not know, they don't know you're coming, and once you're there, like in that case, even though UK got struck by lightning twice, we still managed to pull off the heist. He got kegged. He jumped aboard with a keg, got struck by lightning, killed one of the guys. I managed to res him because he bounced off into the water, because obviously the new changes came in, didn't they? He got another keg while I was defending the flag, and he got struck again as soon as he got on board. So then I couldn't res him, so it was just me against those two guys, and one of them was quite a good play. He had Legend at the Sea of Thieves. So yeah, we managed to pull it off in the end, but they came back and almost caught me, but yeah, that was so hilarious.
Right. It was a good session. It was a good session.
Yeah, see, what sharing stories already, just like we discussed before.
Love that.
Yep, just like Mike Chapman once.
Just like what?
Just like Mike Chapman wants us to do.
Yeah, if only he wanted us to sail through that waterfall a little bit harder, Mike.
Well, we just don't want it hard enough, Ray. What are you talking about?
Well, he's in for a storm now because I'm making another video about it.
I'm sure we'll talk about it too in the discussion, like change we still want to Captaincy. But to close the icebreakers playthrough, what other game would you be making content for if Sea of Thieves didn't exist?
That's a good question. I thought about that one a lot, and I think it's like Elden Ring comes to mind for sure. Like I would love to actually start making stuff for that. Skyrim definitely, but really any game with camera tools that I've spent a lot of time in. Like after hundreds of hours of capture in Sea of Thieves without camera tools, I'm kind of like itching to just dive into one where I can either mod it or it's built in where I can actually do things with free cam and oh my God, and control time of day. That's my big one. If I can control time of day and game speed, that's so probably one of those. Yeah, Elden Ring.
Reaching to the choir.
Yeah, it's just like that's like it's like you don't think about all of those things until you try to record a video, and you're like, oh yeah, like 1 minute per hour of the day. The lighting is changing so rapidly, something you would never think about because the game isn't intended for that. But then you're like, wow, okay, this is tough.
It's good advice for new content creators. If you want to do Sea of Thieves, keep in mind you will have to wait a lot to get the clips you want. And to close off, we talked a little bit about other video games, but what is your favorite video game of all time?
I hate being that guy, but like it's like movies. Like favorite is hard to define for me, and so like a lot of times I just look at what have I played the most, and in that sense, it's definitely Sea of Thieves by a large margin. But do you know what I'm sure this is the same for you guys, but like there's some games that you may only play once, but it just leaves like such an impression on you. Like for me, like Outer Wilds is one of those, or Subnautica.
I'm playing Outer Wilds right now.
Oh my god, it's so good! Like it's just good. That game like gave me a sense of discovery I hadn't felt since I was like a kid. Like Breath of the Wild kind of did the same thing. Elden Ring did the same thing, but Outer Wilds, that's one of those games that like I almost can't go back and play, but I love like, so I only my playtime in that was probably 20 hours, but it's burned into my brain. And I don't know if you guys have played it, but this year, like my list is always changing based on what's coming out, but like Vampire Survivors this year, oh my God. In terms of just pure entertainment, I think I've dumped like 60 hours into that game, and it's like a $2.99 game in alpha on Steam.
That's quite
it's just absolutely good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass too, actually. It's a good one. And I'm actually sorry, guys. This is actually a Vampire Survivors ad read. That's why I came onto this.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, did you know you can get Xbox Game Pass?
This is the official unofficial podcast is going to team up with the devs of Vampire Survivors and Game Pass.
You'll see Captain Blubber will get an email now in his inbox, won't he?
Sure. I mean, the advertisements will be about this game. You can bet on that. But luckily, all the rest of the podcast is going to be all about Sea of Thieves. So let's dive into the main discussion and discuss Season 7. So normally we try to discuss everything that is included in a new update, but for this episode, I want to make it a bit more interesting. So I asked both A Shiny Ray and Playthru to give me some of their personal likes and dislikes about this season, because, I think that will make for a better episode. But before we discuss these, I want to hear your overall thoughts on this update first. So, do you guys like this season?
I'm going to let Ray go first. I'm curious. I mean, I've watched his video, so I kind of know, but like I want to hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were.
You're like, share with the class, Ray. Share with the class. We know what you're going to say. I think people misconstrued my review a little bit. I really like this update. It's just... So I like Captaincy for what I asked for Captaincy, aside from a couple of things that was sort of on my wish list. But as a system... As a basic level, there's expanded customization, which I wanted. There's ship naming, which I wanted. And you technically own your own ship. So, I'm not really disappointed because they delivered on those core features. So, yeah, I do like Season 7.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I'm very much the same with that. The big thing for me was everything you just said, which was just like, can I own my own ship? Does it save something that like I always wanted, but I don't think I cared about as much as other players I spoke with, was like saving customizations. I always was like, that should be in the game, but man, it was funny because the first time I loaded in after setting up my ship and it was already set up, it did like hit me. I actually had like a weird emotional reaction. I was like, oh my God, how did they do this? Like I do feel so much more attached to my ship now, instead of just viewing it as like, hey guys, I got a brig. Right, like I got a brig going or something. It's like fun just thinking that it's yours, and So I think that alone, everything else is kind of peripheral for me in terms of what I wanted. And looking at another ship, getting player information, and trying to tease out just what kind of crew they are. Now you have like the players get to put in a name that you're seeing. Like that was something I didn't even know that I needed, and now that I have it, I feel like I can't go back. Like it's just great. So yeah. Overall, I'm very happy with it. And honestly, the server performance, I don't think I've played an update that soon after it went live. It was like really spotty for the first like hour. So I was worried like, oh my God, this is going to be rough. And then I played like a marathon session yesterday. Like it sounds like you guys did too. And it was great. Like
Yeah,
the game
first
performed fine.
days is rough.
Oh,
First days is always rough.
We had the Meg incident that sort of destroyed, almost lost their certain prey, didn't it?
Yeah, Max spawned in our galleon and we got launched up into the air. But it's fine. I mean, that happens too. Besides the update days, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, like also me personally, I also like the season. Like I like everything we got. But I do wish we had a little bit more. And the milestone system is a bit funky. I like it, but I also have some complaints, and we'll get to that a bit later.
Season 7 for me is my favorite season, just based off of it's something that I asked for. Like, if you know my content, you know I've been asking for this for like 2 years since I started. And I think it was just like, if Season 7 was mixed with Legend of the Veil, it'd be like a fantastic update or some Tall Tales or something like, instead of the milestone system, then it would have been like a 10 out of 10 update, 11 out of 10 even. But yeah, I'm still going to say this is my favorite season so far, but we'll see. We'll see if that changes in the future.
Wow, that's a bold statement. I would not go as far as to say that, even though I like it, but oh well.
Put it this way, I didn't ask for Pirates of the Caribbean Tall Tales, I didn't ask for the Fort of Fortune, didn't ask for Merchant Voyages, didn't ask for Sunken Kingdom, although I do like that season, didn't ask for Sea Forts, didn't ask for Legend of the Veil Voyages, but Captaincy is one that I really wanted, so that's my reasoning on at a sort of surface level anyway.
I guess so. So following that logic, if they add hippos, it would be my favorite season.
you have to obey the rules there. You have to put out your number one best update ever then.
All right. Okay, gotcha. Does this update help machinima content creators play through?
Yes, big time. I think it's interesting because I think there's like, I'm glad that you asked machinima, because it kind of like you kind of like anticipate my breakdown where I'm always like, it helps all content creators like in a big way for Sea of Thieves, just because it seems to be driving like greater community engagement, player interaction, like everybody benefits in a huge way. And I think for machinima content creators, it does help them in the sense that there's more customization options. So, you can tell more stories, or like for me, I always love like taking a detail in the world and teasing out like a story from that, or like a joke, right? Like just the fact that we can put a trinket on a ship. As soon as I went in and saw the trinkets, it's like, okay, there's like so many bits we can do about this. Or there could be a character could have a whole backstory, could be like explained through a trinket now, or the color of the drapes on their bed. So in that sense, I think it helps machinima content creators a lot. But the other thing is the stools was the first thing that I thought of. When I saw stools, I was like, oh my God, I could get low angles. I could get low angles anywhere. And then I haven't used it at all yet. But I mean, come on, it's been out for 72 hours. So yeah, so I think it does help. It does help a lot.
All right, that's great to hear. I can't wait till you see what you're doing with it.
Thanks, man. Yeah. We dove in. We should have a video out this week about Captaincy. A little more evolved than the shitpost we had about it. Than we should have. Yeah.
All right, cool. Looking forward to it. So let's get into our likes of this update. We kind of touched upon it before, but we really like naming your ship. I think we all can agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dissect it a little bit. We can name your sloop, your brigantine, and your galleon. If you want more of those ships, one of those ships needs to be legendary. So what are your names for your ships?
Pleythru, you're going first.
Thank you, sir. Much obliged. I haven't named my galleon yet. I don't know. I might name it something stupid like the Big One or something. I don't know, or Biggin, just big. Like my brig is the one I sail on with the most, because I usually play with one of my friends and then my fiance. So that one I named the Shadow of Intent, which is from Halo. I totally just lifted that because I just thought, one, it's just a cool ship name, and then two, I really like that when, like, I think that like exemplifies like when you look at a ship in Sea of Thieves, and then it's like if their sails are angled or they're coming towards you, the Shadow of Intent is there. So I like that it's like menacing, but also it has to do with it because I'm like a nerd like that.
And Truth and Reconciliation wouldn't fit, would it?
No, it would not. We were like, my buddy he was like, yeah, he was doing the character counter when we were talking about it, like for a galleon. I was like, okay, a galleon named Truth and Reconciliation would be really funny, or like Pillar of Autumn would be.
Would Long Night of Solstice work from Halo Reach?
Maybe. I
Hang on.
I think so. It might be like just over if it is. But yeah, that would be an awesome name for a ship. And then our sloop is the Silver Sloop for now, which is like a Spunk Silver. It's like our streaming ship. I need to get that one to Legendary so I can have another.
All right, gotcha.
I'm excited to hear your guys' names.
Yeah, I'll take it. Like, I don't get all these references, but I'm happy you guys are having a good time about it. My names are Mudplugger from my sloop, Batship Crazy for my brigantine, and obviously the Salty Hippo for my galleon. And the funny thing about naming my galleon the Salty Hippo is that a lot of my subscribers knew in advance that was going to be my galleon, and they recognized it. We met people, they saw the name, they were like, yes, this is the ship of Captain Blubber because we saw it in your video. And not gonna lie, that felt pretty good, getting my ship recognized.
That rules. And see, that's like a really good example of how it just helps like just in that way. That's so cool that someone can just see from far away. If they've watched your content, they can sail up and be like, oh my God.
Well, we sunk them first and then they came aboard the ship. So,
then we gave him a ritualistic execution after screenshots. We need the flag.
Yeah.
Milestone, baby.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. True and through. You're like Sea of Thieves players like through and through. That's awesome. Just it sounds like when you ran into Ambrasa, like how you guys like were fighting. I remember him like chiming, he'd be like, I just got rolled on by Ray and Blubber.
He boarded. I was like, it's Ambrosa, and everyone's like, what? And then they killed two of my crewmates, and he's down below. And I even recognized him before, so like I knew who it was, and I made sure to kill him before. I said, "Come on board, let's talk." Got to neutralize him.
That was a good day. For people that don't know, Ambrosa is another Sea of Thieves content creator. Also does machinimas, right?
Very similar content.
Yeah.
We found him because he did his first video was a machinima about a Valentine's Day ad for coming and staying with him on Booty Isle, and he referenced our Spunk Silver video. And at the time, we had like, I don't even know, like we probably had like 50 subs or something, or 100 subs. And so the fact that someone even made a reference to our videos, we were like, wait, people would do that? And so then me and him and Bros has like helped with our stuff a ton, and I've worked with him on his videos, like doing capture and whatever. He's great.
I particularly liked his voice work in the last Reaper Ron episode.
Oh my God.
Collecting Reaper pajamas with bodies still in them.
Because he is like, again, is like, you know, I sent him some lines. I sent him the idea of lines, like, because I wanted him to, that was like that's his character, so I wanted him to write them. And then he comes up with like the craziest, like, that's all him. Yeah, he's super good.
Link that video as well, Blubber.
Oh my God.
Pleythru channel, just do it.
See,
and Ambrasa.
I'll get Ray as co-host, be easier. Like, we divide the load, but he's asking me to do all these links every time. So let's say your names, Ray.
So
for your ships.
Because I can buy 3 galleons, I went for my first name ship. So I've got the Bloody Leviathan for my galleon. And that's just in the dry dock. It hasn't sailed anywhere yet, and it's not complete. And I bought a sloop because I couldn't afford a brig because I spent all my money on DA stuff for a video. So my sloop's called the Dragon's Ascent, and that's I thought this was really clever. It's got the Eastern Winds figurehead on it, but it's got the Spartan hull, and the Spartan hull's got wings, and it lines up with the dragon, so the dragon's ascending. So that, you know, I'm not just a pretty face. And my brig is going to be some sort of dragon thing because obviously Rayquaza and all that shit. So I'll think of a name today when I buy it.
All right, sounds great. Are you guys disappointed with the font type that we only have one?
Yes.
I didn't think of that until now. I'm not going to lie.
You've not been watching Captain Blubber's videos? Oh, look at this guest. Look at him.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't watch his. It's fine.
Yeah, see, exactly.
But would you like it? Would you like new font types?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything that gives more options. I'm also just, in terms of like stuff that isn't just the bread and butter ship decorations, I'm pretty much like a Neanderthal when it comes to thinking about it. Like, I need to go and watch your videos. I need to go and watch videos like Ray's to be like, that we could have that. And I'm like, oh, that would be cool. But Yeah, I think font types would be great.
Is it a
Yeah,
bit like,
anything that gives people more options.
is it a bit like looking at fireworks? You're like, ooh,
Yeah. Oh, I'm like, oh, did I needed that? Oh, like I'm like customize harpoon. Oh, like
sailor.
that's me. That's seriously. I'm like looking at it, like trying to like, oh, fire. Oh,
The poor art team at Rare must be like, he's made another one. Just shut the fuck up, please. Just stop. Stop giving people ideas of stuff they want. Shut up.
Yeah.
Do you guys like the ship crests, like the ones we have, the ones you can buy for gold?
No.
By crest, I'm so bad at the terminology. You mean like what, the nameplate, like that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't bought any of them. Yeah, I think they're okay. I like the one with the bones. I just wish it was a different color.
With the black and red one with the skulls, and I can't remember what else is on there. Ironically, that's going to be really good for two of my ships because they're red and black themed anyway, or red and gold, whatever you want to say. But I think they're sailor crests with props on them and props on them in a different PNG for each one. So it's a bit like, yeah, they can fit, but then you look at the Pirate Emporium and, well, they've clearly put the best ones in the Emporium.
Yeah. They did. And we originally this was by the dislikes, but let's talk about it now. Because I feel the same way, Ray. Like the ones in the Emporium, they're way better and they're money. And I get it that the Emporium cosmetics need to be, a little bit more attractive. But the difference between the free ones, quote unquote free ones, and the Emporium ones is a bit too big to me. You know how you guys feel about that?
I think I wouldn't be so adverse to it, but there's some clearly that are just from earnable sets, like the Sunken Sorrow one, or sorry, it's Weeping Waves or something, isn't it? One's clearly a Reaper's Bones one. It's called the Reaver Crest. One's a Bone Crusher one, and one is clearly the DA one because they changed the color of it before it was released.
Yeah, it's a bit scummy, isn't it? Did you catch that playthrough?
Really only the Bone Crusher one. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like because people are always, who missed it, want Bone Crusher stuff. And so I didn't even know it was an Emporium set. I thought I was like, oh, cool, it's earnable. Maybe sinking skeleton ships again. I don't know. And then when I realized it was Emporium, I was like, what? No, come on.
Yeah, indeed. That's not so great about this update that they've locked the best crests away. I do agree with that.
I think it sets quite a dangerous precedent as well. Like, if they are going to be doing these premium crests that are clearly based off of earnable sets, I know that's sounds very conspiracy, but we've got the evidence to back it up. If they do 5 of these a month and you're waiting for them, you might end up having to pay 600 ancient coins for the one to match your ship. Like, imagine if there's an Admiral one, or an Ashen Dragon one, or a Burning Blade when we get the ship set, or a Pirate Legend one. We already got a Pirate Legend one with a DA one. They just changed the colours. It's another element of putting something behind a paywall when it originally started as the Pirate Emporium was going to be non-canon ship sets and some crazy weapons like rare legacy stuff. And it's creeped. And I understand they have to make money. And they do. They make a lot of money because we're still getting updates, but at least give us some really cool earnable ones. And then I wouldn't even bat an eyelid at that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yep. I would love to see. Plus, like what you just said, it kind of seems like a no-brainer to just lean into. Hey, we have all these like for instance, Emporium sets that we can just release a nameplate for, like the Barrel Bombardier one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me one of those. Yeah, sure. If that's an Emporium, that makes total sense. But yeah, I'm with you 100% there.
Maybe in the future. I hope they'll get added, like the Emporium stuff get added quickly, and with all the cosmetics too.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even be adverse to them doing like Bear and Bird captaincy decorations, or not decorations, sorry, but Captain's Cabin stuff, or like Dark Smith stuff, or Black Pearl stuff. They've really got a good scope there to make a lot of money, and they will sell because people want the full set. But when we get to the point is a trinket's going to be in the Emporium now, or maybe a new font's going to be the Emporium, or it's just it's a slippery slope, to use such a cliche term.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and those concerns are certainly warranted. Yeah.
And I think it would be mitigated a bit if there were just more earnable ones right now. But because there's kind of like this dearth of there's just not very many earnable variations that you can get. So when you look at like when I looked at the Emporia ones, I was like, what the heck? Like I was like, oh, okay, like that's where all the good ones went. But I'm hoping that I like have faith that like more earnable ones will be added in the future. That's like my optimistic.
All right. Well, let's hope so. We all hope so.
Yeah.
One more thing before I want to talk about the names is that have you guys seen other ships with funny names already?
I got absolutely at the end of our session last night. We got absolutely clapped by a brigantine, an Athena brigantine that was called Red Sea Runner, and they were not Red Sea Runner. We were rolling on them like, oh, this is gonna be so easy. They totally fooled us, and they clapped us into hell. Like a minute, and we were just dead. I was like, oh, okay, all right, that was ironic. I got it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's great. That's great. People are very creative with these names, and that's great. Something else that we liked, and those are the new cosmetics, like the trinkets and the furniture and the logbook. I don't know how much we want to talk about this because it's more cosmetics, and we're happy about it, right?
Yeah, we'll save it to the dislike bit to air my concerns, but for the most part, it's really nice. I actually like the decorations more than trinkets. Like I saw on the excuse me, I saw on the Salty Hippo yesterday. Blubber had made like a little dining area near the stove where he put plates and mugs and stuff like that. And I thought I would never have the creativity to do that. It was like you say, pleythru. It was my caveman brain. Like use crockery, not eat with hand. Use mug, not use hand to drink. That sort of thing.
Exactly. That's the thing. I like things like that, like Blubber's kitchen setup is I'm gonna see other players do it, and then instead of me, what I've literally just been going around, and I've always tried to make my pirate look as like scuzzy as possible. So like as soon as I got I'm already so bad at the terminology, not the trinkets, but what are the other ones called?
Like the decorations, like the mugs and stuff
decorations.
Like
yeah. Like my favorite one immediately was just like the platter of ribs, and I just put that everywhere. I was like, yeah, my guy's just leaving pork bones everywhere. Like
mine was like edgy skulls. Like yes, bad reaper, naughty ship.
Well, I'm happy they cater to the dim-witted.
Reaper win because get lots of treasure kill.
All right. Yeah, so we're happy. More customization options. Do we want some more of them, or are we good?
The more the merrier, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer too, right? It's a bit of an open door.
It's just how long are we going to wait for this stuff?
Well, what do we think? It's going to be the next month, or do we need to wait a season?
A season and then nothing after that. This is how we roll.
Well, didn't they always add new cosmetics in the clothing shop each month with an Emporium update?
Then they ran out of them.
Yes. Well, now, new trinkets and furniture can replace that each month.
I like your optimism, but the Pirate Emporium is priority there.
All right, we'll see what happens. I hope we'll get more. Like we said before, more is always better. Something else that we really liked, the Sovereigns. And this was one that you put forward playthrough. The Sovereigns are a new place where we can sell our loot. It's just easy to do, right? It's just an easy turn, and we all like that.
No. No.
All right, go for it.
If we're on my ship and someone suggests we turn into the Sovereigns, I'm not giving them a single gold coin. And if anyone suggests it on someone else's ship, I will leave and then come back when the loot's sold. They're not getting a single one of my coins.
Well, see, I was about to say that Ray then will never sail with me, but at the same time, I was so excited about Sovereigns, and I'm like, oh my god, like QOL updates, like any QOL updates, I'm about. Like season 5 is locked in as best season for me. It was like, you give me storage crate draining, yeah, no other update gave me that, so like it's kind of locked in a lot of ways. But then, so I see Sovereign single point of turn in. It's great after just running stuff in so many times. And I kept telling all my friends, it's so amazing. Oh my God, look how fast you can do it. And then we spent a 12-hour session turning everything to Reapers. So,
see?
yeah. So I guess I'd be sailing with Ray after.
If you guys want to fund the Grand Maritime Union, then that's up to you. But I will not be giving them a single coin. And when they come to the Sea of Thieves and threaten our life, I will say I told you so, and you funded this.
Grand Mirror what? Grand Mirror what?
What? There is
Me like fast turning.
Reaper, not bad guy.
Oh, I guess. All right, I'm having trouble getting the your attention, but that's a good point. Let's dive a little bit into the lore of the sovereigns, Ray, because you mentioned the Grand Maritime Union. Why do you say that?
So, I don't know where the source was, but some eagle-eyed viewer, I want to say it was Speaker Sot, but I don't know if anyone saw it before him, because I've not watched his video on it yet, but the Grand Maritime Union are the equivalent of the East India Trading Company in Sea of Thieves, or outside the Sea of Thieves, should I say. But there's also the East India Trading Company, because Beckett's in there, but ignore that, that's really confusing. They're basically the equivalent of that in the Caribbean at the moment, or, basically they rule the world. And they've been wanting to try to get into the Sea of Thieves, because one, there's a lot of money in there, and two, it's a bastion that they don't have control of. So in turn, they've been trying for however many years to get in, and the last time they tried to get in, they were basically destroyed as they went through the Shroud. One, because the ships are too big, and the ones that were small enough to get through, they were sunk immediately. And that actually led to the creation of the Merchant Alliance. But now, they've been worming their way in so slowly. So first of all, it was the the Pirate Emporium, Emporium NPCs. They work for the Grand Maritime Union. And now it's the sovereigns who are direct envoys of them. And it seems like they're trying to find a way into the Sea of Thieves, but they're currently offering their services to you free of charge. I think as a means of studying the pirates of the Sea of Thieves and how they can win them over, or maybe win someone over to let them in. And this is where the plot's really going to go over the next year, I assume. It's probably going to pick up next year, because we've still got some Flame Art stuff to contend with first. But overall, they're going to be the main antagonists. And I think good old Flame Features is going to be seen as sort of less of an antagonist and more of not an anti-hero, but a lesser of the two evils.
All right, we'll see about that. But what makes you say the sovereigns are working for the Grand Maritime Union?
Oh yeah, I missed the most important part. They have rings with the insignia of the Grand Maritime Union, and you can see it if you obviously watch Speaker Sot's video, or you can look at Captain Blubber's and he'll show the ring, and then spin it round and it'll show a picture from the comic where their ships have the same insignia on them.
Yeah, it's an little anchor logo. That's the logo of the GMU. And this logo is also found, and this is again thanks to Speaker, that logo is also found on the little notes they read. So if you go to the sovereigns, you see them reading a little note. If you use your spyglass, you can actually see that logo again. So they are receiving notes from the GMU as well.
Think on that next time you turn in with them.
There's more to it than meets the eye. They're not doing it out of the goods of their heart.
Hopefully the next Lost Sands is Sovereigns versus Reapers. I think that would be cool.
It will be cool.
Yes.
I want to see a three-way.
What?
I've mentioned that before. I mean, is that the right term? I'm using the right words for this.
Larilla Bell and Madame Olivia.
Shut up. I mean, I want to see the community split not in two, but in three. I think that might be a bit interesting. But, oh well. We'll see.
If it was between Grand Maritime Union and Reapers, who are you guys picking?
Who gives me more money faster? that's
I need to learn more, and I want to know what the choice is, what we're actually doing to really make an opinion about it.
I feel like Reapers would mechanically, I would appreciate, just earning more with them. And I do, I mean, there are aspects of their cosmetics that I like, but I feel like Grand Maritime Union cosmetics would probably be awesome. Like for pirate, like I would love to look like like a 16th century dandy would be awesome. I want that so bad. Like to just be like a ruthless 16th century, like 17th century dandy rather. Oh yeah, great.
You can opt for the skeleton curse or a powdered wig. What do you choose?
I'd be powdered wig, man. I basically am rolling with that right now.
It's kind of concerning that Blubber said, I'll think about the Grand Maritime Union versus the Reapers. And I'm a bit like, oh, do I really want to be your friend anymore? I don't know.
It's a question you ask yourself every week. It's fine. I'm used to it.
It's basically, it's a routine at this point.
Can I just say too that like when I watched your guys' videos, like it was Blubber's and I might have seen Speaker's video on that too, just like because my algorithm is 90% Sea of Thieves, and then I'll just be watching like, oh my god, like I don't know anything about the lore. But when I watch your guys' videos, like that one about, oh, here's who the sovereigns are actually working for, and this isn't a no strings attached deal. When I watch your guys' lore videos, it makes me feel like I'm like entering, like I'm like, oh, I know what Sea of Thieves is. Then it's like, oh, you guys are like the Illuminati, like hunting down the Illuminati of Sea of Thieves. I'm like, no, I have no idea what's going on. And then I just parrot things to like my friends who play the game, who watch even less than I do. And then they're like, wait, what is this? And I'll be like, no, like that's from a video. They'll be like, how do you know that? I'm like, oh, like, Ray made a video about it. Or like, oh, Blubber had a GMU video. They're like, what's the Grand Maritime Union? I'm like, well, it's like a Dutch East India Company. It's like all I got. Yeah.
I mean, it's you bring up a good point, because not everything is in the game with the lore, and a lot of it is outside of it, in the novels and the art book and the role playing games and whatever. So I can get it's a bit confusing, especially if you step in now and with the adventures you kind of dropped into it, and that's why I make my videos watchable for new players. But anyways, it's a lot to take in. So that's a fair point, I think.
As a counterpoint to that, I hate new players. So if you're new, don't watch my videos. I'm joking. That's not true.
Yeah. All right. One more thing I want to discuss about the sovereigns, because Rare also posted a letter, and that letter is written by Chief Trader Molly, who I believe worked for the GMU, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And she's one of the merchant traders now. But she wrote a letter to Olivia, so I'm just going to read it for all the listeners. Olivia, I have received your letter, and I too am suspicious. Their clothing, their speech, they deal only with captains and offer their services seemingly for free. Clearly, they are trying to ingratiate themselves with prosperous and influential pirates. But to what end? I doubt they like coin. The gold hoarders, of course, care little about who brings their treasure, so long as it arrives. Thus, to ensure brisk trade, and while they continue to spurn the Reaper's bones, yes, I shall accept valuables delivered via our new arrivals, and I advise you to do the same. I shall, of course, be observing these sovereigns very, very closely. And then signed by Chief Trader Molly. So yeah, that's interesting.
Very much. It is very weird in a pirate game for someone to show up, especially when they're very well dressed, and then just say, "Hey, one of the things you don't want to do, like the most annoying part of the game. We'll just do it for you. We're taking care of all of your expensive loot. Oh, and it's free of charge. Like that is like the most suspicious possible thing you could probably do in Sea of Thieves.
As well, it's even more suspicious because they're not buying it off you; they're just delivering it for you.
Yes.
It's not like the servant just melting it down to feed. You could be feeding whatever energy's down there. We don't know, but he's giving you some gold for it, and you might use it. Or the gold hoarders just give it to the gold hoarder, but they're like, no, we're just going to deliver it for you. We're just a middleman for free.
Hi.
And I'm dressed like a super, wealthy, I don't know, business owner or capitalist in 17th century times.
They do have scars, right?
Yes.
So they are. I mean, doesn't one of them say they were pirates before they were sovereigns?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to have to look at their dialogue.
Yeah, I might make a video about it and just go through all the dialogue. I'm not sure yet.
The only lore I definitely know about why they don't work with the Reaper's Bones is, one, they don't agree with how they operate, and two, they did have some sort of agreement with them and the Reapers betrayed them. So,
well, that's a very Reaper thing to do. That makes sense.
They're the Sigmas of the Sea of Thieves, as the kids would say nowadays.
So yeah, let's move on from the sovereigns. I think we talked enough about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, no, one more thing, actually. Some people are disappointed by them because they say it negatively impacts PvP, since people sell faster, so you have less time to ambush them. How do you guys feel about that?
If those guys we kegged yesterday knew about the sovereigns, we wouldn't get any loot. That'll tell you that much.
So people still need to know it, that they're there. And also, it's weird with the milestones as well, because if you turn in at sovereign, it doesn't, your milestones for the gold hoarders don't go up. So that's fun.
I mean, that's
Yep.
fair. I think some of the commendations don't work either. Like,
Yeah,
if anything says turn into the gold hoarders, I don't think that works if you give it to a sovereign.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it doesn't. So
Okay.
yeah, keep that in mind if you want to complete milestones and accommodations. Not 100% sure about accommodations actually, but milestones, yeah, maybe they'll fix it too. They kind of need to fix it, right? Yeah, we'll see.
I read there's some edge cases too. Like we tested with barnacle chests, and that one worked. Because my fiance, my buddy, still need that one. That one did work, turning into sovereigns. So did some other one. But then I guess like one of the ones I heard doesn't work is the merchant buying low and selling high.
No, that
like for some reason that negates it, right? Like,
yeah, it bugs it because it does. I suppose it doesn't understand what the cost of the commodities are at the outpost. So I don't know if they'll patch it or they'll just keep it so you have to sell to the merchants.
Interesting. A lot of stuff needs to be patched still in this update, but we'll talk about it later. The final positive thing, or final like, I should say, the music. Do you want to be a pirate captain? Do you like it, or are we sick of it being stuck in our head?
I've been humming it a lot, so I'm pretty pleased with it.
I thought it was great too, just especially like in the context of the Microsoft showcase. Like so many games, and I get it, like because they're just different vibes, but something I love about Sea of Thieves is like it knows it's silly. Like they have fun with the world they build, so it was great to just like for them to go all out with like a musical number for their trailer, like in between like super intense, dark, gritty trailers where there's like a bunch of action and and oh my god, like the world needs to be saved, and then it's just like, no, do you want to be a pirate captain musical number was fantastic. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
It was
the best trailer of E3 again.
Yep.
Again. All right, let's go to our dislikes now, and let's start with the big one, the grindy milestones. Like I like the system, I like that it's uncapped. But some of them, damn, they are brutal. Like sleeping for an hour, and that's tier 1. If you want all the trophies for your fishes, it's thousands of fishes. Where it was, you probably complete your accommodations before you complete your milestones when it comes to fishing. So how do we feel about this grind?
I am very much. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I see both sides, but I kind of do with this where it's like, I see the community reaction to milestones, and I get it because like you said, like just mathematically, some of them are absolutely insane. And the fact that there's cosmetics or titles, or I'm not even sure exactly what's linked to everything because it's so new, to things like going AFK basically for sleeping, or like you said, catching fish, like thousands of them, which are like RNG based, and that would just be prohibitively time consuming to do. I do understand like those need to be rebalanced, and I'm certain we will see that within a few months. Like that will just happen. I don't know why they did it that way, but they did. But then the other part of me is, I don't know, I view milestones, I almost like it's an interesting, I'm sure you guys see this in your communities too, like seeing some people, and maybe even you guys are doing this because we haven't talked about it, but some people are viewing the milestones as like a grind, like oh my god, I want to get the Feared like right now because I need that nameplate like now, or I want to get the Rogue or the whatever, the Emissary is probably the easiest one. So then they just go and grind like and I'm not that kind of player when it comes to these specifically, because I kind of like, for me, the milestones, I actually do like it just being an accurate representation of what we've done. I think that's cool. And the fact that the trinkets are there are like a bonus, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the base tier of all the trinkets is like relatively obtainable. It's repetitive for veteran players. We've done it all, but it is obtainable. So part of me is like, yes, they are insane. Like what the heck? Like no one, even if they were grinding this, would probably achieve some of the top tiers of these. But on the other hand, I took my crew downstairs, like when I say downstairs, into the brig. I took them, below deck into the brig, and I showed them, we had the second tier of the Reaper trinket. And I was like, all the complaints you're reading about, like online, like all the like people pulling their hair out about this. I was like, it's about the bottom of this. This is what all of the like arguing is about like a base of like a thing that I don't know. Does it take up that much virtual space in game? That's my long-winded. I see both sides of it, but like it definitely needs to be rebalanced. But I'm also like, I don't know. Milestones for me will always be I'm gonna passively acquire whatever ones I passively acquire, and I very much understand that you cannot passively acquire the vast majority of them. But I also play a lot of Sea of Thieves, so if I'm stuck with the tier 1 or tier 2 trinkets, fine by me. Like it'll be an accurate representation of what my ship has gone through. That's my spiel.
No, I think that's really fair. You've you've approached this very balanced, in a very balanced manner, I would say. Blubber, how do you think about it? What do you feel with the milestone system?
Well, a little different because I am a completionist. I have completed all my accommodations now, and I see not a lot of people that are in the at the same point as I am. They are really disappointed because all the accommodations then count for nothing for the milestones at least, and it feels like starting over, and they're disappointed with that, and I get it. I myself, I don't know, I don't mind it all that much. Because in the back of my head, I'm wondering what will happen first: Legendary Hunter of the Shrouded Ghost, or completing all the milestones for the trinkets. And if I can complete the milestones before I get the Shrouded Ghost 5 times, I'm like, all right, so there's no time wasted completing these. Having said that, sleeping, I never sleep, and I need to sleep to complete milestones. And the fishes are a bit ridiculous, and I'm kind of glad I'm done with it. So I don't mind, catching a couple of fishes again, but thousands. I don't know how much it is exactly, but it's a lot to get those trophies. I don't know. I don't need to go out of my way for the rare ones anymore, so that's good. So I'm gonna give the very boring answer. I would appreciate new balancing, but I also want to play more to see if it does really annoy me in the long term.
Fair enough. A bit more of a not skeptical, but you're more intrigued by it, if anything, aren't you?
Yeah, well, again, I see both sides, and I'm somewhat in the middle myself as well. Like I get it, and I think balancing needs to happen if it is a bit too much of a grind. Because it happened before, right? Like we used to need to kill 50 Shrouded Ghosts or turn in 500 banana crates. Well, I'm glad they balanced that. And they left the other accommodations be. So maybe some milestones need some tweaking, and others, you can just leave be.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because that's what I've been sharing when people post about it, and they're kind of like, "What is going on? Like, how could they do this to us?" And then I just post them like, "Hey, if you weren't in year 1, like, here's what the commendations for a lot of these used to look like. Here's what they look like now. It used to be 1,000 cannonball crates, like you just said, 1,000 deliveries, like on time, and now it's 50. So it's a 95% reduction." So, and not all of them got reduced that much because not all of them were as unobtainable. It was like 1,000 captain's chests was reduced to like 360 or something. So it's like, I very much think they will be rebalanced. It's more just what baffles me was, wait, like you guys, from a development standpoint, I know nothing about game development, but at least with this, with numbers, it's like you can relatively calculate out the time it would take, and they went through this with the commendations in year 1. So I'm more just a little confused as to like when I saw that the first milestone for sleeping was an hour, I was like, I don't think I'll ever reach that. Like I just would never do that. I'm playing the game, right? Like that's
I just slept a half hour before the podcast, so just so you guys know.
Completionist,
yeah, already grinding it, and it's fine. Like I'm just answering comments on my YouTube channel. Like for me, I can just sleep and do other stuff. It's just fine. And fishing too, like I can fish and listen to a podcast, and I'm not really that bothered sometimes. At least not yet. Maybe I will eventually. There's another milestone that is, I think I need to check this actually, but I wrote it down in the script. This one is tier 1. It's spent 10 hours on fire. That's going to be a while too before you reach tier 1 for that one. So how do you feel about this, Ray? Because you've been a bit quiet.
I think in every aspect that they could have made this intriguing, it seems like they've just not done that. Like there's like so many different ways they could have made this system really, really good for all players, but they haven't even made it good for anyone, and that's really harsh, I know. But the main problems are that the challenges aren't very fun from what they've got there. They're not anything we haven't been doing for the last 4 years. And some of the milestones are just absurd, even for the most engaged players. So it's not really for anyone in that sense. They could have alleviated this by adding some crazy challenges that we've not done before, making the grinds a bit more accessible, or just doing a shrouded spoils to the content and refreshing it. Like, I can go back to the shrines now for my milestones. I finished all my commendations, but the shrines are the same ones as Season 4. Or the Gold Hoarder voyages, even the Captain ones, they're all the same as we've been doing for the last 4 years. So instead of doing that, they would have been better to refresh the old content rather than just tacking on a progression system that's just really grindy and hasn't really improved the way you engage with the content at all, other than the fact that you see something tick up. But it's so high for some of them. And some of them are literally not playing the game, like sleeping. You're not playing the game. Being on fire, you're not playing the game. Sitting, you're not playing the game. Like, why are they rewarding people for going AFK? I don't get it myself. And it's so close, and it has got loads of potential, which I would have talked about in my video on Sunday. But it's just absent of that. It feels like this was just rushed out as a way of saying, oh, you can progress as well. But, so people didn't complain about captaincy not adding a lot to do. It feels like they've added this as a way to alleviate that, but also they've kind of made it worse.
I think you nailed it. Like, I very much agree with Ray saying that it's kind of, it unfortunately, like in a lot of ways, it is kind of that worst for both types of players, for veterans especially, but also for new players. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. And a thing that, like, the grind is what everyone's focused on, but I very much felt the same, where I was just like, there could have been not even not even necessarily new challenges. Like I couldn't think of any. And then I was on the road last week, so like it was like during captaincy when like all the content was coming out, I watched like a Sea of Thieves video, and I think it was yours about captaincy, and you had really good ideas about the milestones of like having creative ways to drive player engagement. And something I was thinking about was, I would be so happy with ones like, even if they repurpose some, like I think it was in Season 5 when they added sleeping, for instance, right? It's like sleeping for an hour makes no sense. Why not make it like sleep on 100 different players' ships or something, 100 different captains' ships, to just drive player engagement, so someone sails up to you, and then they could use that as a ruse, right? Hey, I'm trying to get the milestone, and then they kill you or steal your loot. But like just stuff like that, where that's not even necessarily something new. Like we had to do that once before for a commendation, but anything to just make you interact with other players, that's like easy to do, but you just have to do it a bunch of times, and maybe isn't necessarily easy, not because of the mechanics of the game, like, completing a FOF or something for players where they're like, newer players would struggle to maybe, with the PvE elements and the PvP elements, but maybe it's just tougher because crews might just not let you board or something, right? Like a trust issue. I'd love to see more of that.
I think another issue is that the trinkets just they're not good rewards for how much time spent. The bases are all the same. There's 3 different bases or 3 different frames, and they're a model on top of it. But you do also have that issue, like the insider set. Like, do you make a new set after the Silver Blade set for like the minority of players that are going to get it, or would you just give them a crap reward or a low effort reward, and then that way, you're the small percentage of people that get it. You're not putting too much effort in, but also you're not incentivizing people to actually go for that reward. So they've made a rod for their own back with that one, I think.
But it's also about flexing, right? Like, if you do need to, I think it's 2,500 fishes for the maximum trophy. Could be wrong, and they can be of any kind. But if you do have that trophy, like granted, it's just cosmetic difference. It looks a bit more shinier. But you can't flex with it. And not everybody can, because who in their right mind will catch that many fishes? So on one hand, it is kind of good that it's grindy, because then it does mean something when you do earn it. And I'm kind of fine with it just being a different coat of paint.
I think I'm with you too, what you just said, Blubber, where a thing that I thought of first was, you grind for a ship set, it's a flex. Like, you grind for a curse, it's a flex like that. But unless someone, say you hang up your 2,500 fish trophy, and then it's like hung up above your frying pan or something. Like you're not flexing to anyone except the people you're sailing with and whoever is spawn killing you, basically.
I have a YouTube channel where I can make videos about my accomplishments. So
Oh, for us, that's the thing. For us, it's very different because I look at them and I absolutely just was like, when I first saw that other players could put them on the ship, I was like, thank God, because if I want to use something for a video, I'm not. I'm willing to do a lot, but I'm not going to grind for some of these. But yeah, for us, it's different because we have like. We can find a use for anything. That's what I always think. Like sometimes I'll be excited for stuff. I'll be like the content creator in me is like hell yeah, and then sometimes the player in me is like at odds with that.
Mhm.
Like I'm like wait, but if I wasn't making stuff, I'd probably feel differently. Like it reminds me of like stools. Like I was like ooh, like content creator me was like yeah. Whereas I could see, I was actually pleasantly surprised with how the player base was excited about it. So never mind, it's a bad example.
All right. I do want to mention that before I get the comments that, oh, Captain Blubber doesn't mind grinding again. Well, it's not really true. Like, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if this is the right grind. But I also think that, flexing should be a thing in a cosmetic-based game. So there you go.
100%. And I'm very much, I mean, like time limited cosmetics or hard to earn cosmetics in a cosmetic based game are a necessity. Like they are super important. I only really roll with those, like, cause that's what I mean. Like in terms of the grind, that's what you're grinding for, right? So why not use those? But yeah, I'm with you. I'm still like looking at it. I guess it's just the caveman in me again with the Ooga Booga brain. Is just like I just see the numbers go up, and I like that. I have more numbers going up now. I'm just like, man, it's been like a dopamine overload with not having a new season for a bit. So like getting renown notifications, emissary grade, golds, ship milestones, pirate milestones. It's like I love it. I'm such a sucker for the numbers going
Oh,
on.
that's fair enough. I like it too. I'll like it too, and that's why they also need to uncap the seasonal progression as well.
Yes,
Just give us gold for the
dude.
rest of the levels. So I'm good with that.
Dude, yes.
And obviously, the fact that the milestones are uncapped is great. It's great to
Yeah.
that they are. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to this milestone system?
No, I'm done. I think we're ready to move on to the next point.
Oh, wait, one more thing.
Oh,
One more thing, because we talked about milestones for player interaction, that we want to see more of those, and those will be, good alternative for what we have. Speaking about that, we don't have any milestones for PvP. So how do we feel about that?
I'm laughing because it's like I saw it. I knew it wouldn't happen, but I am surprised every time because like I get that Rare is in a bind in a lot of ways with incentivizing PvP, but it's like, come on, for the players who are really going to seek out PvP in their PvPvE game, looking at the three of us, like we're just gonna do it no matter what. But for that reason, like I at least thought there would be a logbook commented, like at the very least, like sell X logbooks, whatever. But yeah, I was genuinely, I was, yeah, it's split. I'm simultaneously, I'm like Schrodinger's like Sea of Thieves player. Like I'm like, oh, there's no PvP incentives in this PvPvE game. Simultaneously, yep, of course there's not. And then the other part of me was like, oh wait, but really? Like really? Like the feared has no PvP? It's like people fear me because I kill krakens and skeletons.
I kind of get it. I saw the comments on my video as well. And they say, oh, they don't want people spawn camping. They don't want people sinking ships at an outpost to get their milestones, and that's true. But I'm not talking about those PvP milestones, like just milestones for turning in emissary flags, because then you solve the docking problem and you solve the, not sinking inexperienced players. Like if I feel if you fly an emissary, I mean, it's fair game to get sunk. So why not make milestones about that? And they haven't, and I'm a little bit disappointed by that.
Especially since, like you're saying, it's an opt-in PvP system, and the fact that there's commendations in it already. So they're not like, creating potential griefing issues. Yeah, 100%.
Ray, your opinion?
Yeah, just I just think people are getting a bit tired with it, and like Rare have dogpiled on almost like an anti-PvP stance. They're not. It just it's conveyed that way, with Arena being ditched and no PvP milestones and things like Legend of the Veil. You can cancel the quest if someone tries to steal it from you. Like, it sets a bad example, and obviously not everyone's privy to the reasons why, because Rare works in mysterious ways. But just people just like PvP, and people don't need to be incentivized to do it. They just want to be rewarded for it. And for someone who's finished all their Reaper commendations, Reaper isn't a PvP faction anymore. It just is constant. It's always PvE stuff that's being updated. And you can see why people are getting generally frustrated with it. And there's such a, I don't even think it's a vocal minority. I think people are just getting fed up with not being catered to and not being rewarded for attacking other ships.
Yeah.
And I think that's a completely valid standpoint, and I think Rare knows that. So hopefully they'll be doing something about that. Hopefully in the next few seasons, but
yeah,
that's Rare's prerogative, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a good point, because you can say, all right, this one caters to the role playing aspect of Sea of Thieves, but not having those milestones for PvP, like it really feels like taking it away from the people that want it. So instead of not getting it, you might have gotten it, but we're taking it out. So it feels double bad. I agree.
Yeah, like just going off of what you just said is what gets me is like development is like insanely hard, especially like crafting the player experience is like something I feel like people think game dev, they usually think of like bugs and code, and like that is also extremely hard like to do, especially with a live service game model. But crafting the player experience, like I can't even imagine like the work and the thought that goes into that. But then there is just this thing where I think where people, and granted I'm biased because I feel this way, people who want milestones or more commendations for PvP, I think where they are warranted, or like Ray was getting at, like I think it's more than a vocal minority, or it's more valid in the sense that not having those things, like not having just a milestone, like again, we're not talking about something that's really like going to absolutely change the way players behave. Like you said it perfectly, Blubber. Like a milestone for emissary flags, an opt-in system that encourages PvP, high risk, high reward. That alone, if I don't have a way to flex that or to show other players, hey, this is the way that I play, that's at odds with pirate game. Like that's just kind of what I come back to. It's like the game is about in Rare's like the marketing, the ad read for this, it's like be the ultimate pirate fantasy. Okay, so people will look at my title and they'll know how many players I've sunk, right? No. They'll know how many stuff I've stolen, right? No. Oh, okay. like it is at odds with the core theme of the game.
Yeah,
I think that's where
one, like Athena chest stolen could have also been a good one, because noobs are not going to get Athena chest, so you steal it from the better players.
And like you said, if you're adding it on to things that already are in the game, you're not solving for the part we've talked about, which is repetition. But you are, at least there's no argument to be made like, oh, now there's even more incentive. Because the other way I think of it is people who play Sea of Thieves and don't like the PvP aspect will always not like it. Like they'll always feel like it's that tough thing with the community where Rare has to, like the fact that they have to contend with players who want totally different experiences in their sandbox game is, yeah, that's a really difficult challenge.
I think with the new player aspect of it though, so you have a game that's on its 5th year and you have people like ourselves that have been playing since day one. We didn't arrive at the Sea of Thieves with all the sweaty cosmetics and all the tips and tricks and all the tech stuff that we know how to do because we played for 4 years. Like everyone was almost in the same boat, but you have people now coming in that they quite literally get rolled by other players and they don't even know what happened because there's just that experience level. I suppose the same thing would be in the lore for Sea of Thieves. Like imagine a day one swabby just coming like, oh, I'm going to get my first gold one map, and Flame Art's just like, I don't think so. This is the Blade, mate. Say hello. But the whole point of it is that not incentivizing new players to get into PvP because there's nothing outside of the arena's gone now, so they can't even do that. They can't practice in a sterile environment. And the Reaper's Bones is now being charted as, if you raise this flag, you get a bonus for everything as soon as you get your emissary. And people aren't saying, this is where the attitude comes from, where, if I'm a Reaper, I don't know you a fight, I'm just going to run away because this is the gold faction, I'm going to level this up. But Rare aren't incentivizing the PvP because you can just earn it all through gold. So it's this vicious cycle of they created a game that supports PvE more than it does PvP, and then you get these mindsets developed from them not understanding the original vision for the game, and Rare not following on from that vision of the game, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Like the gap gets bigger between the PvE and PvP players, and Rare is facilitating that.
Yeah.
We probably all experience it. It's like when you sync someone with a grade 5 emissary flag. This happened to us yesterday. We sunk someone as a grade 5 Reaper that we earned on the server too. So like they saw us sailing around. We roll a grade 5 merchant emissary. And you know, they barely even fight back. The dude is super salty, just slurs left and right. And then it's like he does it, and he's played the game for a while based on his cosmetics, right? At least like since year 2. And he's like, it's like he's done PvP. This guy had done PvE for so long, he didn't even understand why he was being sunk. Like you're sinking me for no reason. It's like, what?
Well,
what? Like,
exactly the same mindset of us yesterday. We hopped onto a server, or Blubber did, and we got a level 5 Reaper doing a world event. So we sail over and I'm like, they've got original Bone Crusher cosmetics on there. This might be a bit of a tasty fight. So Reaper 1 versus Reaper 5, we fight them and we kill them quite quickly. And they were visibly pissed off. They were calling us noobs and stuff. They obviously weren't dropping slurs or anything. And then we pick up the loot and it's like, you've got like 5 flags here of other players. So you're pissed off that we came over and sunk you. And you've probably bullied some smaller players for that, and you don't like it. So now they're getting to the sort of toxic cycle of you're toxic for sinking us, but we can do it to other players because it's easy. Like, all these mindsets are being supported by the whole idea that you're not meant to be challenged for your loot, and you're meant to be the big dog on the server. Even if you are a loot player, you're not entitled to. Sorry, you're not expected to fight other players. And if you do fight them, you're expected to win each time. It's this really weird mindset it's almost like a chain of command where, you know, you get the chads that do PvP and PvE, and they accept that fighting's part of the game and sinking's part of the game, and then you get a lot of other players come in that just want to bully other people and they don't like being sunk themselves, and then you get the sort of almost like the Krill. This is really quite a bad example.
Yeah,
they get beaten on by both of those players and they can never win. So it's like, why should I fight these people anyway? Because there's no incentive to.
Yeah, and I guess my argument against that, or my pushback against that mentality, is I'm just like, I know it's like grinding is fun. If you have fun doing that, then you're still having fun. But I'm all about, you know, intrinsic motivation. So I'm just like I play the game because it's fun. Or like in the early days, you know, I fought players. I've got into ships, you know, into ship battles that I couldn't win because it's fun. Or the best fights are against, you know, sure, it stings when you lose, but when you fight a really good crew, it's enjoyable. Like you know, if I wanted, sure, could I have earned more gold by PvE grinding? I mean, if I wanted to earn gold, I'd join an alliance server, right? Like if that's all I wanted to do in the most efficient way possible, like then I would do that. But and granted, that's super, you know, everyone defines fun differently. Like I get it, PvE players want to just do that, but it's like, I feel like a lot of players, it's weird. They need to like, there's this weird thing with the sandbox, and this isn't just to Sea of Thieves, but I think because of all the reasons you outlined, this happens more. But it's almost like there's 2 different interpretations of sandbox means I can do whatever I want. And it's like, yes, it's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but you're not guaranteed to be able to do that. Like, it's like some people treat it as a guarantee. Like, oh, I should be able to, like you said, be the big dog on the server. I want to do PvE. I'm doing a tall tale. One time we sucked someone who got so mad at us because they were in Athena 5 and they were doing a tall tale. And I'm just like, and they were like, we were just doing accommodations. You guys are assholes. They were so mad. And then we just said, we're doing accommodations. We're doing accommodations too. It's called Turn In 5 Grade 5 Athena 5. Like, guys, like,
I've got no loot. I've got nothing. Look at the top of your flagpole, mate. That is worth like 25 grand. Give it to us.
That was yesterday with that guy. He had done PvP so little, he didn't know the value. He's like, you suck me for like 2K, my buddy. It's more like 25, but yeah, like accommodations. Yeah.
Let's get back on topic about captaincy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next point, I think.
Yeah, the next one on the list is the ship's crest, but we kind of touched upon that. That we think the best ones are in the Emporium, and you know the whole spiel. We talked about that. So let's go to the next topic, and that's one I really dislike actually, and that's paying to save cosmetics between sessions. So instead of just saving all your ship's cosmetics and paying for that, you need to pay individually for each set you want saved. Like the trinkets will save, but if you want to save your sails or your hull, you need to pay gold for that. And if you want to change that and save it to something else, you need to pay again. And I think this system is really dumb and it should be free. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so just real quick, I have just 2 points about this. One, it doesn't work because I've been literally putting gold down the shitter and saving cosmetics and they don't save, and that's 7.5k down or however much it costs. And two, like, I'm not going to change my cosmetics for a ship called the Bloody Leviathan. Like, it's going to be a bit weird if it's called the Bloody Leviathan and it's got the Bear and Bird cosmetics, isn't it? So it should just be free as a perk of buying the ship itself.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But, and to counter that, I do want to change my cosmetics, especially now, since we only have one of each ship types. I don't know how long it takes to be legendary, but we'll see when we get there.
I got it yesterday. It doesn't take very long. For emissary, at least, it's easy.
There we go.
All right. Okay, fair enough. But I do want to change my cosmetics from time to time, or when I play. I know, maybe before I go to bed, I'm like, I'm going to play tomorrow, this weekend. I'm going to play with Ray and my other buddies. Let me change the cosmetics for what I want for this weekend. And let's just save it. And then when I wake up, I have my ship ready. But you can't really do that unless you pay for it. And it's just dumb. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. A big thing, if they wanted it to be more gold, my whole thing was just like increase the price of purchasing a ship and then make all the cosmetic saving free forever.
Yeah, agree. All right, so let's go to the missing cosmetics, because we can change a lot, but there's also stuff we can't change, like the harpoons and the lanterns and the compass. So how do you feel about that?
I'm gonna let you guys go.
Yeah, so harpoons and lanterns are a big one just for the ship silhouette. Lanterns for me especially, considering what they look like on the Ferry of the Damned. But yeah, like, I feel like this has just gone over their heads a bit, and it's probably easier to make the ship furniture than making models unique for the harpoons and getting a geometry fit. Same for the lanterns, actually. So it's easier to make just 5 models of cosmetics for the cabin and then just reskinning them. Yeah, and just as well, the galleon's got such a better deal. Whereas the sloop and brig, they just look a bit crap because brig's fine, but if you look at the sloop, the bed's tucked away so you can't really see it. It's not even like an actual bed, it's just like a mattress on the floor. And then the rug is to one side, the curtain's to one side, and then the table's all in like a little corner. They could at least chuck a chair in there or a chandelier, even one that you can clip through, just to make it a bit more dense, if that makes sense, and you can actually see the changes in cosmetics.
Yeah, add an extra curtain to downstairs, that would be nice, near the bed.
Yeah, or even add another bed so, a duo sloop can sleep together, not in the same bed.
Do we think they're going to change that in the future?
No.
Do you think we'll see harpoons, lanterns, and compasses in the future?
They said never say never, so probably next year.
Okay. It would be cool. Harpoons, I don't really care about. I'm fine with how they are. But yeah, lanterns and compasses, I definitely want to change those.
I'd take lanterns and handrails over harpoons and lanterns.
Okay, handrails, fair enough. I guess you can do something clever with the crow's nest too.
There's a lot of scope for it, but it just takes a lot of work to change those ships around, doesn't it?
Aye, that's true. How do you feel playthrough? Are you missing any cosmetics?
I think the big ones are just the ones you guys said. It would all be just the ship stuff, in terms of the actual, the harpoon, lanterns, what you just said, crow's nest. Yeah, those would be my biggest, the biggest ones I'd want. But I also realize, they're the biggest asks dev wise. And I'm fine waiting for those. Honestly, just being able to name my ship and see other names, that was 99% of what I wanted out of Captaincy.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. It's definitely the best part. I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, the next topic is lack of sets, but we also touched upon that. There's no Emporium cosmetics except from the ship's crest, of course. My heritage ship, still not complete. I want a conquer table. Come on, give me that. Do you guys think we will see a drip feed of these cosmetics, or do we need to wait a long time, or are they not coming at all?
There's going to be a drip feed, and I'll say this for 2 reasons. One, it seems they've run out of 3 colours of clothes because we stopped getting those. The last 2 we need were the Eastern Winds and that Oh no, there's a Bone Crusher one as well. There's in a trailer, and the Morningstar crew jacket in white and red. But right, so with the silver, what is it? What's the Sovereign set of the armor that looks like the Conquistador?
I know what you're talking about, but not the name.
Imperial Sovereign set. So
there we go.
The Imperial Sovereign, the silver one, was featured when Skeleton Thrones came out in a screenshot. Actually a loading screen, and it didn't make its way into the game till the black market, whenever, I can't remember, I made a video about it. So we know these as well, we know these sets, more sets exist, because there's 3 more in the trailer that didn't come out for some reason, along with some clear recolors that have already been made. So out of all of them, we've got 15. There was 18 in the trailer. And you can probably guarantee all 51 ship sets are ready to go. They're just going to drip feed them over the course of the next few years. I'm just going to be really obtuse about this. We're not stupid, Rare. We know you've got them. Like, don't be feeding us one a month for the next 3 years, because that just takes the piss out of us. Like, people are waiting for these sets, and they're going to have to wait for like 3 years to get the one they want.
Agreed.
Yep.
There we go.
Agreed.
Bluntly, I'm just fed up with drip feeding new cosmetics, especially when we get nothing to earn. It just winds me up.
Yep, and starting new sets too without completing old ones, that annoys me a lot.
Oh yeah, the black market was awful for that. Just release one black market set each month.
Yeah, just do all of them complete. I mean, I wonder if they have an Excel sheet and somebody's keeping track of it, or if they lost that sheet. I don't know.
No, it's to do with the balance of Emporium and earnable stuff, because if they give us too much stuff to earn, then people won't pay for stuff in the Emporium. It's like, it sounds really sinister, but it is a business at the end of the day. They need to hit targets.
Yeah.
So if we get the stuff we want to earn, then we won't buy anything.
I guess so. I mean, if it's good, like, again, if there's heritage stuff, I'll buy it. I'll buy the heritage. I'll buy all of it. So,
I would buy more in the Emporium if there was more stuff to earn, because I'd feel like I'm incentivizing them to release stuff for both, but it's gone the other way. Granted, they do get ancient coins, but I've been stacking those recently because I don't want to buy anything from the Emporium.
all right,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, that sweet partner, ancient coins, lucky bastard.
See, they're thinking, we'll shove ancient coins in the mouth, he'll shut up. Like, you thought wrong.
All right. Something else that could be a dislike of this season is the lack of new gameplay. Because if you don't like customizing your ship, there's nothing here for you. So how do we feel about that?
This term has been like, oh no, you go, Ray.
I was just going to say, it's not a big deal for me. Captaincy update is not the gameplay update, it's the roleplay, customization, immersion update for me.
Time is a little bit weird because it was delayed and we have a draft now. So does that impact your opinion?
4 months is too long for a season, I'll tell you that much. If anything, given the bugs, I would prefer them to have delayed Captaincy till December and then brought Season 8 out in September when they plan to. Because we're still 3 seasons this year anyway. Season 9's kaput for 2019. What year is it? 2022? Season 9's kaput. It didn't sound too interesting anyway. Adventures have been delayed. At least if they given Captaincy the time it needs, we wouldn't have all these bugs that we do now, especially some game-breaking ones. Season 8 is the one that should have been brought out in September. Yeah, we'd have to wait a bit longer, but Adventures can continue. And then we get a fully polished Captaincy for December. So that would have been the best case for everyone. Best case for everyone is that we had 4 seasons this year, but that's not the case.
Yeah. You bring good points. I wonder how close you are to what was possible. Because if it was possible, I would have agreed with that. Yeah.
Hell, even just bring out Season 8 next month and just make the rep. So here's the thing, right? Sorry, Pleythru, I've basically just uprooted your entire point here. Don't forget what you're going to say, because it's going to be real quick. People are progressing through there in and out really quickly. Like, I'm already on 35 and we've played like 1 proper session, and that was like about 4 or 5 hours. So
we did a lot, but yeah.
So what I think they've done is that we had Season 7 delayed, right? And up until like 2 weeks ago, it was still on course. What I think they were going to do is bring out it in September still, because they never announced the roadmap changes, did they? We're just going to have a short season, and they were going to pump the renown. But when that 2-week delay came out, Joe came out and said that we're going to give you plenty of time to finish your season pass. Allow is it's 4 months now, but they forgot to change the renown to the full length season, so that's why people are progressing so quickly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I think they've done, and they forgot to switch it back.
No,
That would make sense. We played a disgusting amount yesterday, and I'm at like 73.
There you go.
Like, it's without trying to grind it, like just playing the game.
Yeah. All right, back on topic again. Playthrough. Do you think there's other gameplay lacking with this season?
I feel very similarly to Rave, where again, like I love new gameplay, I love new features, but if Legend of the Veil update, it's one of my favorite things they've ever added to the game. But I think they've done an amazing job with. It's weird with all the things we've talked about with milestones and drawbacks and everything. I'm not doing anything differently, but just because I'm seeing pop-ups and numbers go up, it makes it feel fresh, and that's cool. It is like that is like, it's almost like I feel like it's like I know they're hypnotizing me, but they are like, while they're doing it successfully. Like I'm like, wait, I'm doing everything I've done. Like, but it feels but I'm on my captain ship, and it's cool. Yeah, I'm loving it. It really did feel fresh.
Like playthrough, ignore the seasonal counter, ignor the delays. You have lots of numbers going up now. You've got 3 different kinds of numbers. Yeah,
Exactly.
Delay season 8 before he wakes up.
Exactly.
They're gonna add a new system, new progression system, just for playthrough to keep them happy.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
just a new number, please. Just new numbers. It's fine.
Yeah, they won't even tell me what it is. It just is counting up. It's just like a new little jingle that plays when it happens.
Just gonna get to the point where Shiny Ray's so difficult to please. We're just not gonna do anything at all anymore. We're gonna do the opposite of what he wants, so he leaves. But playthrough.
Yeah, we need to alienate him.
Listen to playthrough. He knows what he's talking about.
We need more numbers. That's why Vampire Survivor, man. It's a game where you just see numbers go up by the screen. You kill guys faster, and I was like, yeah, okay. There is a lizard brain aspect to gaming that is like, when you satisfy that, you can get away with a lot. And also, like with Sea of Thieves, I just love the game, so I'm easy to please in that sense. Like I wanna go sink ships. I wanna encounter other players. So if I can do that, I'm happy.
That's a good point. That's for me as well, because I don't really want other gameplay right now. I'm still happy. I'm still having a blast with the Sea Forts and the Legend of the Veil voyage, and I'm still like doing world events and seeing other people. I'm good. I'm still happy when I play the game, so it's fine if there's an update that caters to the role-playing aspect and not other stuff. So, yeah. Having said that, PvP milestones, obviously, but we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm good. I'm good with just captaincy. Yeah. So let's go to the final dislike, and that's all the bugs. So the logbook has issues with tracking. Some cosmetics are not saving. The amount of disconnects is insane right now.
Mm-hmm.
And with insane, I mean once or twice every big session, which should be 0. So let's be fair. So how do we feel about that? Are there more bugs now? Are they going to fix it? What do we think?
You can delete stuff with ship logs. You know that, right?
Please tell me.
Yeah. So if you get a treasure chest, put in any small item, and then you can get a ship log of an enemy player, and then pop it in the chest with that item, and it'll delete it. It'll delete both of them. Never gone into the wind.
Nice.
This update wasn't ready.
Great.
It wasn't ready.
I wanted to ask you guys about that.
Yeah.
Just about the logbooks. I'm still confused as to what some of the pages mean, or like what they're specifically referencing. Like there's like an overall history page when you first open it. And then you flip a couple pages, and then there's like I think it's like the current session. And then I know that there's like crew specific. Here's how much gold the crew has earned and quests they've completed. So when you say no tracking of the logbook, do you mean like is that why I'm seeing 0 on like the first page for everything for everyone? Okay,
yeah, it's not been updated properly, but we don't really know what's session based and what's not.
Yes,
that's another issue. No one really knows what's going on with it.
And what makes it not noteworthy? What makes it?
So days at sea, but we sunk someone with 15 days at sea, so that's what 2 hours 40 minutes. What's half of that plus 120? That's 36. 360 minutes. What's that in hours? Like what?
It's
6
6
hours?
hours.
So they've been on
Yep.
the server for 6 hours, and that should have leveled it up, but it was still a basic one, so that's obviously bugged as well.
Yep.
And it wasn't in the trailer, right? They didn't talk about it at all, so maybe they knew that didn't progress.
And that's a thing that I wanted to, I guess, in terms of my biggest disappointment with the season, because I'm actually like very pleased with it. And mine is the logbook, because when I found out we were getting logbooks, I'm that psycho where, like, I don't know, my favorite part is like, I'm that psycho where if I had a logbook that just told me an itemized, like, here's the islands they visited in this session, here's the loot they turned in, like an itemized thing, I would pour over that and have so much fun, like trying to piece together their session and how we encountered them and everything.
That's a tool for interactions as well, because say you sunk a ship with an Athena and they've managed to get away with it and you can't figure out what they've done, you can check their logbook and say, oh, they've been to this island. Why have they been to this island? Obviously the map bundles existed, but they don't have to bury it there. They could just leave that on the island and like, oh, they did this. They went from Fort of the Damned and then they went to Sailor's Knot. And why did they go to Sailor's Knot? Let's go there. And then you find the Athena. It's such a good tool for storytelling.
Exactly. And the fact that I was also thinking that even if it's not tracking ships, like, okay, we're not going to get PvP milestones. That's fine. So even if it's not tracking ships sunk, if it at least, or it's not rewarding ships sunk, if it was at least tracking like, oh, this brig I met had like encountered each other at this island or whatever. And like, that would just be neat. And you could, like anything that increases player interaction inside and outside of the game. Like, think about how many people would be making videos about this or posting, stories, or like even just like sharing a log, like, look at, like, we sunk stackers and here's the itemized log of like everything they had, like whatever, like they had even sold half of it already or whatever. Like, I guess that's like I was being like a little cheeky about it, but I was just kind of like, I expected the ship's log to be a log, and like it doesn't feel like that. It just kind of feels like which and I'm not a developer. It's extremely hard. I understand that a lot of this is probably a big ask, but that was the thing I was the most excited for, because I love, there are so many times, I'm sure you guys run into this, where we encounter a player and we're like, what were they doing? Like,
yeah,
what the heck? Why did I find them with this flag at this island doing this type of voyage or this world event? And then I'd love to just like snoop and like piece it together, but
so more like Magpie's wing log from the first All Tale, rather than the ship milestones, but in paper form. In analog.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Would be great. Any other bugs we encountered that were annoying?
You nailed it with the DCs. Those have been pretty intense.
That was not good. No. Do we think they're going to be fixed soon?
Hot fix, I reckon. Maybe next week.
All right, let's get our backlegs crossed. And also, we're recording this on Sunday the 7th, so it might be already fixed. Let's hope so.
Oh, maybe with Hunter's Cry then.
Oh yeah, could be. Yeah, with the next adventure.
Yeah.
All right. So, any other dislikes we want to quickly mention before we move on?
It's not for Pyro Legends. It sounded really sad saying that.
That's a good point. I agree with that. Should have been a Pyro Legend exclusive. How do you feel about that, playthrough? Agree with that?
Yep. Same with you guys.
All right, great. Are we ready to move on then to the message in the bottle?
Aye.
Yes.
All right, so we got some good questions. The first one comes from Fat Scout. He says, I don't get why... You like his name?
Yeah, that's a good name. That's made me chuckle. I don't know why.
All right, the first one comes from Fat Scout. I don't get why Rare doesn't let you put rum or grog in your ship's name when there's literally an island called Rum Runner Isle. And I totally agree with that, Fat Scout. Like, I wanted to call my sloop Zuipschuit, which is also a reference to drinking in Dutch, wasn't allowed. And Drunken Sailor, the title Drunken Sailor, is allowed, and there are islands and references. Like, you even drink grog in the game, right? So there are references to it, but we can't use it. But to answer your question, I do believe, and you can correct me on this, Ray, I do believe they're using a Microsoft filter and not a Rare filter. So it might be the same filter as they use for gamertag names for Xbox Live. So, and I know for sure that, liquor is not allowed for gamertags. So I think they're using that filter. Do you think I'm right on that, Ray?
I think so, because in testing, and I will say this, even though it was Insider, I managed to get around the filter a few times with certain terms that I don't think Microsoft would have thought of. That are quite almost specific, but they shouldn't be allowed on ships, essentially.
And how do you feel about it? It's dumb, right?
Yeah, like Wench is censored, but the Wicked Wench is in the game. Like Drunken is censored, but Drunken's in the game. Oh, sorry, Drunken's not anymore. But Rum. There's a few I've seen like that are already in the game, and they've just censored it because, like you said, I think they have used the Microsoft one.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's not like you're putting in cocaine in your ship's name. Come on, rum or grog. Let's be creative with these names, right?
They've also not translated some things properly, so you can actually get some swear words if you use German characters like piss.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
I'll let you guys figure that out then for yourselves, and then take the ban for it as well. That's not my fault.
Yes.
I disagree with those, but liquor, grog, rum, especially rum. Like you should have the Rum Runner. That could be a name for a ship. That would be great, like a little merchant ship called the Rum Runner. But it's not allowed. I'm guessing you feel the same, Playthrough. Also disappointed by this.
I had no idea that was the case. That's insane. Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, too bad. Let's go to the other questions. 2 questions that basically are asking the same thing. The first one comes from Uncle Albert. You think Captaincy will get expanded upon in the future, like a personal pirate hideout, or the legends go through the waterfall? And Reggie Stella adds to that, what do you want to see next for Captaincy beyond things like harpoon and ship lanterns? So how should the future of Captaincy look like?
Put the link of my video. Put it in the description. That's what I'm talking about. Playthrough. You go first.
So the question is what would Captaincy?
So what would the next update for Captaincy be? And Albert is thinking about a personal hideout, or legends start in the legendary hideout and go through the waterfall, which was originally planned for Captaincy. And Reggie Stella thinks like, what do you want to see beside the harpoon and ship lantern options?
Man, I think we kind of touched on it earlier. In terms of what I want to see would be just more ship stuff. Like I think you guys mentioned railings, and compasses and crow's nest. Any ship features would be great. Even like I don't know the right term for it, but like anything that would change like the stern or like the canvas on the sloop would be really cool. And in terms of it took 4 years to get to Captaincy, so I'd say maybe another 4 for sailing on the Pirate Legend. I don't know if that'll ever happen. I bet Rare World will make it happen, but I could not tell you when. And in terms of what comes next, I bet nothing interesting here. I think what comes next is going to be a big rebalancing to the top tier milestone requirements.
Yeah, that could be. I really want to see other changes, like closing the captain's door on a galleon. That I want that to be an option. Like you can roleplay with that. You can do some fun things. It's something small, but it adds to Captaincy. I would like that. Uncle Albert said, going through the waterfall. I think they're still working on that. I mean, there's still a broken ship there. It would make sense. So I do hope we will see that in the future. Yeah, that's about it, actually. Like, I'm already pleased with it. Maybe different sail types that you can have the same designs, but, a different shape, like a sail that's better against the wind. Or maybe a bigger sail that's better for with the wind. And you can kind of customize your ship to fit, your play style. And maybe you will design a galleon that's actually really good at chasing sloops, but really bad at chasing brigantines, for example. And that would be nice.
It's funny you mentioned the hideout, because our friends over at insert name of video game news website here, I don't know which this article's from, but Mike's actually been asked about this recently, and I'll read the quote for you. So, will I finally have to abandon my fantasies of blasting through the legendary hideout's waterfall out into the world as was originally teased prior to launch? The way I think about it, answers Chapman, is the pirate fantasy of having a hideout that you sail off still sounds great to me. I'm not announcing anything, but I think it'd be a great way to treat it with the same level of focus. We want to go deep on that in the same way we've gone deep on this. So that's not a yes then exactly, but it's not a no either.
All right.
That sounds like another seasonal update to me.
Yeah.
Like a full hideout that you can customize. But I don't think they will do it in the Pirate Legend hideout, but you'll have one that you can start off, and then once you do, that'll either be for a portal or you'll merge onto the server, and then you can't go back there unless you start a new session.
Yeah, it would be cool. Like, I have some ideas about how that could work, but I'll save that for later. But that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to see, Ray, for Captaincy in the future?
The skeleton curse.
For Captaincy.
For me, just I think having the ability to customize the interior of the galleon to make it like living quarters. So like maybe have the old brig position, or add some hammocks or some bunks or a picnic table, that sort of thing would be really nice. And be able to make the paint inside the hull match the outside. That's really important as well.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they didn't update that. Like, new sets, they also paint the inside of the ships, but we still have all the sets that don't do that. So I don't want it as a separate customization thing, but I do want, the old cosmetics to be updated for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all I really want from it.
All right. Also, if somebody's listening and you have other ideas, like, this is an interesting question. So if you have something interesting to tell us or an idea yourself, please let us know in the comments. I would love to read it. The final question comes from Ilwash. We kind of touched upon this before. How do you feel about the milestones such as 100 hours of sleeping? Would you say it's a bit excessive or keep it as is? And I feel balancing is needed for some milestones. But who knows? Like, maybe I can get my 100 hours, like, by doing half hour for the podcast. Who knows? Maybe I'll be fine with it.
Have you just been AFK farming it right now, like during this whole recording session? You could have got like 2 hours right there.
I could have, yeah. I'll keep that in mind for the next one. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll get it done.
Just upload a video along with it. It's just like Captain Blubber sleeping.
At least you can't speedrun that one.
Yeah, that's true.
The world record sits at 100 hours. Can anyone beat that? Number one in the world forever.
Actually, there's one more question left, and this one is pretty interesting too. Actually, this one comes from Firebird. He asks us, "Do you think there should have been a new currency given when you sell items to the sovereign? And with that new currency, you could buy trinkets and ship cosmetics." I don't think it should be a new currency, but it would have been nice if the sovereigns were responsible for captaincy. And they kind of feel like they are, right, with the ship's crest spelling out sovereigns. But I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I think I think it was right for them to leave the stuff for convenience with the ship, right? But other people have suggested that that's like a temporary thing and they'll move on as part of adventures, which I think is quite apt, actually. Because they don't really do anything other than deliver your loot. They don't sell you anything. They don't have anything other than dialogue. So it would have been nice to see it all under that tent, especially considering how it's decorated with the crest and stuff. And they only deal with captains, but yeah, I guess it's just convenience. Rare works in mysterious ways.
That's the answer to a lot of our questions.
Yep. I don't have anything else to add besides what Ray just said. It was just that I think what's always telling to me is just when I play with different people and then they enter into the game, the update's brand new, and they say, "Oh, where do I do my captaincy stuff?" And they run over to the sovereign tent, and then they're like, "Wait, is it the shipwright?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess of course that makes sense, it's shipwright." But yeah, it is kind of intuitive that it would be the people who only deal with captains were added when captaincy was added, that you would go and do it there. But yeah, I'm very much what Ray said. I'm excited to see what they do with it, and shipwright is fine. Makes sense.
The ideal end game for the sovereigns for me would be like a boot up their asses and they're out of the Sea of Thieves. You trade offer. You receive a boot up your ass. I receive a sovereign-free Sea of Thieves experience.
Yeah, and maybe the build threads will take over their encampments. And they'll do it for free. Well, they'll do it for some grog, and they'll be fine.
I need a very large drink.
All right. So with that, we'll end this segment. So thanks again to those that submitted their questions. And again, make sure to join the Salty Hippo Discord if you want to submit your own. I always post an announcement when we are close to recording a new episode. I also want to remind all listeners that this podcast is on Spotify and Amazon Music, so if that's more convenient for you, you can listen to us there. Keep in mind that new episodes premiere on YouTube first and will be on Spotify and Amazon a few days later. And you can also follow us on Twitter at BestCOT Podcast. Link to that will be in the description. Just, underneath 10 other links, you'll find it. So we've come to the end of the podcast, and I want to thank our wonderful guest, Pleythru, for being amazing. And can you tell our listeners where they can find your content?
Thanks for having this. Yeah, this was a ton of fun. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/pleythru. We spell it weird. It's BLEYTHRU. Or look in the 8 links that Ray is forcing Blubber's.
I'll make sure your link will be somewhere at the top. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. Yeah. Look for Reaper Run. It was our best video, and we couldn't have done it without Ray providing custom service for that. So that was huge, and it was really fun to have him in there. And very, very excited to be on here with you guys.
With you being on the podcast, the debt is repaid.
Yes, I'm free.
God, you just freed yourself of like a $2,000 invoice there, mate. You're so lucky.
There you go. That's how we roll.
Yeah. See, amazing things can happen here.
See, the rules Pleythru. If you say thank you to me, you're indebted into me like a true pirate.
Yeah. I'm still paying my debt to Ray. I'm still not done.
Is that why he's still on here?
That's why I don't even need a co-host.
Still got 18 episodes remaining. Blubber.
I'm counting the days. Don't worry about it. Also, as part of your payment, Shiny Ray, my amazing co-host, where can our listeners find you?
You can find me in 2 places. So I'm at youtube.com/ShinyRay. So that's exactly how it's spelled on wherever you can find it. And you can also find me brooding at the Reaper's hideout under those new embers near the trapdoor. So those are 2 places you can find my socials.
Oh yeah, those new embers. We didn't touch upon that, but you're right. They changed it a little bit.
That's a teaser.
Shush. Okay. We'll leave it at that. And you can find me on YouTube at Captain Blubber. Just type in Captain Blubber and you will find me. So make sure you give this podcast a thumbs up. That's always appreciated. And let us know how you feel about Captaincy in the comments. And while you're there, make sure to let us know your ship's name. I love seeing some creativity. That's it. Thanks for listening and have fun being a pirate captain.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care. Thanks for listening, guys.